Back here on Titans Talk, it was a frustrating loss yesterday for the Titans, and you did wonder when all that stuff might catch up to them. It happened with 5 turnovers. It happened with poor execution yesterday against a bad football team in a game that the Titans are going to kick themselves for until they go out and start beating people again, until they figure out exactly where they are in the postseason and if and how this game ultimately affected them. Here's our instant reaction last night on the Electric Power Company's Sunday Sports Central after the debacle over at Nissan Stadium.
All right, we got the band back together as we welcome in a slightly under-the-weather Jonathan Hutton of Outkick. I'm sure today's Titans result didn't make you feel any better, Jay Hutt. But, KB, we start with you. The injuries may be catching up to this team, but the turnovers most certainly did on Sunday. I don't care what the record is of your opponent. You turn the ball over 5 times, you're probably going to get beat.
Yeah, absolutely. 1-8 team or 8-1 team, you turn the ball over that many times is not a recipe for success. Injuries played a role. Poor execution played an even bigger role. You know, offense, special teams, defense tried to step up and do some things. 3 and outs were effective, but it didn't really help the Titans because they weren't able to execute and get the Texans down.
Yeah, 5 giveaways, no takeaways. That's not the recipe for the Titans. Now, Jonathan, this is just going to feed into the narrative that the Titans play up or down to their competition. How does a team that's 7-0 against playoff teams from last year lose to the Jets and the Texans?
It's maddening, guys, because in the loss to the Jets, we knew the Titans were the better team because we remember those back-breaking long pass plays by Zach Wilson. Today was purely about the Titans making mental errors and mistakes and poor throws and inexperience in their roster. This Titans team cannot have the ill-advised turnovers, the poor execution on special teams, the turnover on downs. Today's loss felt different to me than New York because due to the injuries, it told us they're not good enough on offense to flip a switch and take over when the going gets tough. They need to be the team that makes things tough on the opponent in all 3 phases, and today showed that if they don't do that, they'll lose not once but twice to the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you look at what happened yesterday, is the Titans can't gear it up offensively right now, given the personnel. They cannot score 35 points a game without significant help from the defense. Defense played well yesterday, but they didn't gift them anything. And the Titans offense couldn't make the play. Couldn't make any plays, basically. And not only that, they were shooting themselves in the foot as they went through the game. That is a real concern, just based off of the personnel that you have right now out there on the field for the Titans. For the Titans' own perspective on this, let's go to our buddy John Burton with the post-game report going inside the locker room to hear what the Titans thought about Sunday's disappointing loss, 22-13 to the Texans.
No matter how you slice it, the Titans turned in a turkey of a performance Sunday in their pre-Thanksgiving home game against the lowly 1-8 Houston Texans.
At no point did we think we were going to lose this game. We just thought if we keep pounding away, we're going to find a way to come back with it. But you spot them that many points, time runs out on you.
The Titans were their own worst enemies. On offense, 5 turnovers, including 4 interceptions by Ryan Tannehill on a day where the unit had trouble converting in the red zone all afternoon.
Like I said, we moved the ball consistently pretty much the whole day, except for a couple drives, and just kept shooting ourselves in the foot.
Meanwhile, the Titans' defense wasn't much better, allowing Tyrod Taylor and a mostly low-risk Texan offense to move the ball continuously down the field as Houston built a 19-0 lead.
Tyrod got out the pocket and scored, and they were moving the ball on us. And early on, we couldn't get to a 3rd down, and then we got some stops, but it was too late.
You know, when you get everybody covered and you give up the quarterback scrambles, it's really not making him earn anything. That's kind of giving it to him. So, you know, we have to be better.
Adding injuries to insult, the Titans, who were without several key players to begin with, saw several more go down on Sunday, including both starting wideouts, A.J. Brown and Marcus Johnson, forcing players like rookie Dez Fitzpatrick, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Chester Rogers to try to pick up the slack.
You got 3 guys out there, trying to get back into a game, and you got to throw the ball, so you got to run a lot of routes. So it really tests our conditioning, and that's just something, going forward, just got to work on and be ready for that opportunity again.
We shot ourselves in the foot a lot. We were moving the ball down the field. We've got to find a way to score touchdowns in the red zone, and it starts with us.
Time for our wounded warrior, Jonathan Hutton's keys to the game, and it really feels like the Titans just kind of gave this one away, Jay Hutt.
Yeah, I mean, 5 turnovers, including 4 interceptions, writes the book on that. I mean, Ryan Tannehill now leads the NFL in interceptions. The Titans moved the football today against the Texans. They did not finish, and at every chance of positive momentum, they just turned around and handed it to Houston. And when A.J. Brown went down, the Texans were not concerned with anything deep. They set on routes. Their defense played with confidence. Meanwhile, the Titans offense looked very desperate at times, John, due to their lack of playmaking ability. That is a massive issue moving forward. And it was a big issue today. The Texans took full advantage of it.
Yeah, the Texans had gone 4 straight road games without scoring a touchdown, yet they were up 19-0 on Sunday. How?
I mean, the Titans allowed them to play incredibly slow. The Texans featured that structured plan, and their plan is a bland brand of football because they're not good. Already up 12-0, Houston ate 8 minutes off the clock to begin the third quarter with help from a Titans turnover, and the Texans then scored a touchdown. All of that before Tannehill even touched the ball in the second half. And then from there, they went into the scoreboard protection mode, and the Titans were not doing anything to dictate pace or tempo. Houston was the team doing that, and I was shocked to see it.
Texans got the early lead, but it kind of felt like Mike Vrabel and the Titans were chasing points and missed opportunities all afternoon, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it started on the first possession. I'm with you. Their problems, they got to the Houston 35. There's a false start that pushes them out of field goal range. Second possession, they drive all the way to the Houston 18. They take a bad timeout after hurrying on second down. Tannehill throws the pick. Fourth possession, they had 3 plays to convert, came away with nothing. Intentional grounding, couldn't get 3 points right before halftime. I mean, the list goes on and on. The Titans were great at picking up yards today, if you look at a stat sheet, but they were terrible at putting points on the scoreboard, and that's why they lost to the bad Texans.
All right, it's on to New England. We look ahead to next week's game with the Patriots coming up.